My beloved child, I need you to stop right now and hear me. Not because this message is interesting, not because someone recommended this video to you, but because what you have been carrying in your chest, that heavy, wordless question you have been afraid to say out loud, I've been waiting to answer it. And today is the day I answer it. You have been asking me why. Why this? Why now? Why you? Why? After all the prayers and all the faith and all the nights you held on when letting go would have been so much easier, why is the pain still there? Why has the breakthrough not come? Why does it feel like heaven has gone quiet in the exact season when you needed it to be loud? I hear that question. I have always heard it. And today I am not asking you to stop asking it. I am telling you, stop waiting for me to be silent on it. Because I am not silent. I never was. I have been speaking through every single moment of what you called suffering. And today I am going to show you what I was saying. By the time this message is finished, you will understand why what you walked through was not punishment. You will understand what I was building inside you while you were asking me why I had forgotten you. You will see the glory that has been hidden in the weight of what you carried, and you will never look at a season of pain the same way again. Stay until the very end, because what I have to say to you last will be the part that changes everything. Before we go any further, if this message is already touching the place you were hoping God would reach today, I want you to type, "My purpose is being revealed in the comments right now." That is not just words, that is a declaration of faith, and heaven hears it. And if you have not subscribed yet, do it right now and turn on the notification bell, because what is being built here is a place where God's messages find the people who need them most. You need to be here every time He speaks. There is something I want you to understand before anything else. I did not send you this message because your suffering is over. I sent you this message because you have been misreading what your suffering means, and that misreading has been costing you something that no pain should ever cost a person: hope. You have been looking at what you are going through and measuring it against what you prayed for, against what you were promised, against what you believed was supposed to happen by now. And when those two things do not match, when the prayer and the reality look nothing like each other, the human heart reaches for the only explanation that seems to fit: that something went wrong, that I missed something, that you did something to deserve this, that the promise was never real. I need you to hear me very clearly. None of those things are true. As it is written, "For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us." Romans 8:18. That is not a comfort verse. That is a mathematical statement about your life. Paul did not write that from a comfortable room. He wrote it from prison, from a place of chains and uncertainty and suffering that would have broken any person who did not have the revelation of what suffering actually does in the hands of God. And here is what I want you to see. The suffering you are in right now is not equal to what I am preparing to bring through you. Not close, not comparable. The weight of what you are carrying exists precisely because of the magnitude of what I am preparing on the other side of it. The depth of a valley always corresponds to the height of the mountain it is preparing you to climb. What you call delay, I call preparation. You have been looking at your pain as evidence that something is wrong. I have been using your pain as the very instrument of what comes next. And here is what most people never understand about this. Suffering in the hands of God is not random. It is not careless. It is not punishment for people who pray wrong or believe too little. Suffering, when it is carried by a chosen person, by someone set apart for a specific assignment, is the precise mechanism by which God forms what no comfort could ever build. You cannot learn endurance in ease. You cannot develop unshakable faith in a season when everything is going exactly as planned. You cannot be trusted with the weight of what I have called you to carry if you have never been asked to carry anything heavy before. The suffering is not evidence of my absence. The suffering is evidence of my precision. I do not use blunt instruments on people I love. I use what shapes, what refines, what removes everything that does not belong in the life I designed for you. And this is the part that changes everything if you let it reach you. Remember Joseph, my beloved, that young man who carried a dream in his chest, a real dream, a dream I gave him, and watched everything in his life move in the exact opposite direction of that dream before it came to pass. His brothers stripped him of the coat that was a symbol of his calling. They threw him into a pit. They sold him. He served faithfully in Potiphar's house and was falsely accused and thrown into prison. Years passed, 2 years in that prison after the moment he thought he would finally be remembered. 2 full years of silence after the cupbearer walked free and forgot his name. As it is written, yet the chief cupbearer did not remember Joseph, but forgot him. Genesis 40:23. Do you see? That was not a mistake. That was not something that slipped past me. Every day that Joseph remained in that prison after being forgotten, I was not absent from his life. I was absent from his explanation. The situation offered no explanation. The silence offered no clarity. And yet the dream I gave him was still alive. The assignment I placed on his life had not changed. And everything that looked like it was working against him was being threaded, precisely, intentionally, into the path that led him to the throne. So it is with you, the pit you are in right now. The silence, the suffering, the feeling that you were forgotten by the very people and circumstances that were supposed to move you forward, is not the end of your story. It is the formation of it. Joseph in the pit is not the testimony. Joseph in the pit becoming the man who could govern an empire without letting bitterness destroy him. That is the testimony. And the pit was not incidental to that. The pit was required for it. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are mine. You are tired of waiting for the turn, tired of being told it is coming while the same walls stay up and the same doors stay closed. I am not going to tell you to wait longer. I'm going to show you what moves the reversal forward. The turn of the chosen reveals how God uses 7 specific days to flip what has been against you in finances, family, health, and destiny. The link is pinned in the first comment. Comment I am in my 7 days and step into the season of reversal God already had written for you. Now I want to go deeper with you, because there is a layer to this that most people miss when they read about Joseph. And it is the layer that is most relevant to where you are standing right now. Joseph did not just endure, he served with excellence in every place the suffering took him. He did not stop functioning while he waited for his circumstances to change. In Potiphar's house, while everything was going wrong externally, he was building the capacity to lead, to manage, to earn trust, to navigate complex human relationships with integrity. As it is written, the Lord was with Joseph, so that he prospered, and he lived in the house of his Egyptian master. Genesis 39:2. Even in the wrong place, even in a servant's position, even surrounded by everything that was not the promise. This is what I need to say to you directly. The suffering season is not a waiting room. It is a training ground. While you have been asking me why, I have been building you into the version of yourself that can carry what I am bringing. And I need you to understand, truly understand, that if I gave you what I promised before the formation was complete, it would crush you. Not because you are weak, but because the weight of what I have prepared for you requires the kind of strength that only certain seasons can produce. Think about what Joseph became. He became a man who could sit across from his brothers, the same brothers who stripped him, betrayed him, sold him, and look at them with compassion instead of vengeance. As it is written, and now do not be distressed or angry with yourselves because you sold me here, For God sent me before you to preserve life. Genesis 45:5. That is not a natural response. That is a spiritually formed one. And it took every single day of the pit, the prison, the forgotten years to build it. The suffering was not something that happened to Joseph on the way to his destiny. The suffering was the architect of the man who could fulfill it. Stay with me, because what I am about to say connects all of it. Your pain has a name. It is called preparation. Your silence has a name. It is called precision. Your delay has a name. It is called the exact amount of time required to build what your assignment demands. I did not miscalculate. I did not forget a detail. I did not allow you to walk through this so that you would arrive on the other side broken and diminished. I allowed you to walk through this so that you would arrive carrying something that cannot be faked, cannot be manufactured, and cannot be given to someone who did not earn it in the hidden place. Silence is not my absence. It is my deepest work. And I want to speak now to the specific shape of what you have been carrying, because suffering is not a single thing. It takes different shapes in different lives, and I want you to know that I see the particular contours of yours. Some of you have been carrying the suffering of unanswered prayer. You have prayed over the same situation so many times that the words feel worn out. You have believed for a breakthrough in your finances, in your family, in your body, in your relationships, and the breakthrough has not looked the way you expected it to look. And somewhere in the gap between the prayer and the result, doubt started building a residence inside you, a quiet voice that says, maybe this is just who I am. Maybe this is just the life I have. Maybe God answers other people's prayers, but mine are hitting a ceiling. I need to dismantle that voice today. Your prayers are not hitting a ceiling. They are building one above the situation that has been pressing against you. Every prayer spoken in faith, even the ones that felt empty when you said them, even the ones you whispered when you had nothing left, has been landing. As it is written, the prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. James 5:16. Not sometimes, not when you say it with enough emotion. Powerful and effective. The prayer you prayed 3 years ago is still working. The prayer you prayed at 3 in the morning when no one was watching is still moving. You have not been talking to the ceiling. You have been sending instructions into a spiritual realm that operates on a timeline you cannot always see from where you are standing. Some of you have been carrying the suffering of isolation, of feeling like no one in your life truly sees what you're going through. You have people around you, family, friends, a church, and yet there is a loneliness in the center of what you are experiencing that none of them can reach. Like you are living through something that exists in a language you cannot translate. And that isolation has made you question not just your circumstances, but your identity. Am I too much? Too broken? Too far from the person I was supposed to be by now? I see you in the silence. I hear you before you speak. That isolation is not rejection. It is separation. There is a difference. Rejection removes you from where you belong. Separation removes you from what would have limited what I am building in you. Some of the relationships that have fallen away, some of the seasons of loneliness that have felt like abandonment, were me protecting the formation that was happening inside you from being diluted by voices that would have spoken into your life from a level below where I was taking you. A diamond does not form in community. It forms under pressure, in isolation, in the hidden place. And what emerges is something that reflects light in a way that would not have been possible without every element of that process. Some of you have been carrying the suffering of watching others advance while you stayed still. You have watched people who prayed less, believed less, sacrificed less, and they seem to be living the very thing you have been waiting for, and you have had to fight the bitterness of that comparison, had to wrestle with the question, why them and not me? Why their business and not mine? Why their marriage and not mine? Why their children and not mine? And here is what most people never understand about this. My timing is not based on who deserves it most. My timing is based on what each person is ready to sustain. The person who received what looked like your blessing, I know what I gave them and what that will require of them. I know what is attached to it, and I know what I have set apart for you, and what it is going to require of you to carry it well. Your season is not delayed because you are less. Your season is timed because what I am bringing requires more of you than what came to them. More capacity, more formation, more of the thing that only the hidden season builds. God was not being silent. God was being precise. Before we go any further, I want to speak from my heart for just a moment. Every message I bring here goes through hours of prayer, searching, and preparation. I take this seriously because I know that some of you are holding on to your faith by a thread. And this message may be the one God is using to keep you holding on. If this ministry has been a source of strength for you, there is a link pinned in the first comment called Buy Me a Coffee. It is completely voluntary. Give only what God places on your heart. But if He does move you to give, know that your offering reaches the next person who will find this video in their darkest moment and discover God has not forgotten them. Thank you. Let us keep going. You received a promise, and you have been holding it longer than you thought you would have to. Long enough to start wondering if you misheard. Long enough for the enemy to start using the delay as evidence against God's faithfulness. But hear this. The delay is not a denial, it is positioning. The turn of the chosen shows you exactly how God uses 7 days to reverse the weight and step your life into the fulfillment He already set in motion. The link is pinned in the first comment. Comment, "My promise is still alive," and hold that promise with both hands today. I want to bring you now to the place in Joseph's story where the turn happens, because this is the part I need you to see most clearly. It did not happen gradually. It did not happen through a series of small improvements that built momentum over time until things finally changed. It happened in a moment. One morning, Joseph was in a prison cell. By the end of that same day, he was standing before Pharaoh, the most powerful man in the known world, being invited to speak. As it is written, so Pharaoh sent for Joseph, and he was quickly brought from the dungeon. When he had shaved and changed his clothes, he came before Pharaoh. Genesis 41:14, do you see it? The transition from the dungeon to the throne room did not take another year of gradual progress. It took one divine appointment. One moment where the thing I had been building in Joseph over years of silence and suffering became relevant to the most important conversation happening at that time in that place. And what Joseph had in the throne room, the wisdom, the clarity, the ability to interpret what no one else could interpret, that came directly from the formation that happened in the pit and the prison. So it is with you. The question is not whether I am going to turn your situation. The question is whether you will be ready to step into the throne room when I open the door. And that readiness is exactly what the suffering has been building. Every time you chose faith over bitterness, you were getting ready. Every time you worshipped, when the worship cost you something, you were getting ready. Every time you said, I trust you, even when the evidence in front of you was telling you not to, you were building the kind of spiritual foundation that can hold the weight of what I am about to place on it. I did not bring you this far to abandon you now. And now I want to speak to the question you have been most afraid to ask. Not just why, but who. Who are you after this? Who are you in the middle of this? Has the suffering changed you in ways that cannot be undone? Have you become someone harder, smaller, more guarded than the person I designed you to be? I want to answer that question with something real. Yes, you have changed, but not the way you fear. The hardness you feel is not a wall that closed around your heart in the wrong direction. It is the density of someone who has been pressed and did not shatter. There is a difference between a heart that became bitter and a heart that became strong, and I know the difference. even when you do not. I see what is in you, the compassion that is still there even though it has been tested, the generosity that still moves in you even though it has been taken advantage of, the faith that is still alive in you, smaller than it was before maybe, quieter, more wounded, but still there, still breathing. That faith is the most important thing in you right now, not because of its size. As it is written, he replied, because you have so little faith. Truly I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Matthew 17:20. A mustard seed of real faith pressed into the ground of everything you have walked through is what I am about to use to move the mountain that has been in front of you. Listen, this is the part that changes everything. There is a second layer to the story of suffering that I want to open for you now. Because most people, when they read about those who walked through fire and came out refined, focus on the outcome, the throne, the restoration, the moment of vindication, and they miss the most critical piece, what happened inside the person during the waiting. Joseph did not arrive at the throne room empty. He arrived carrying something invisible, something that had been deposited into him through every year of the pit and the prison. And that invisible thing was not just patience, it was not just resilience, it was wisdom that could only come from having walked through what no amount of education or privilege could have taught him. He understood betrayal from the inside. He understood injustice from the inside. He understood what it meant to serve faithfully when no one was watching and there was no reward attached to the faithfulness. He understood loneliness. He understood silence. He understood the gap between the promise and the present reality. And when the moment came, when Pharaoh was standing in front of him with a dream that no one in Egypt could interpret, Joseph had an answer. Not because he was the smartest man in the room, because he had been in the room that prepared him for this exact conversation. As it is written, I cannot do it, Joseph replied to Pharaoh, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires. Genesis 41:16. That humility, that clarity about the source of his gift was forged in the hidden season, not given to him at birth, forged. And here is what I need you to take into the deepest part of your understanding today. The suffering did not just prepare you for something, it deposited something into you, something that now lives in you that was not there before the trial began. A depth of compassion that you did not choose, but now carry. A capacity for faith under pressure that cannot be faked or manufactured. An understanding of what it means to hold on to a promise when every visible thing contradicts it. And that understanding is going to be the very thing that gives someone else permission to hold on when they are on the verge of letting go. This is not just about your restoration. This is about your assignment. And your assignment was always bigger than your comfort. As it is written, praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God. 2 Corinthians 1:3-4. The comfort you receive from me in this season is not just for you. It is being stored in you so that it can flow out of you to the next person who walks into the suffering you are walking out of. Your testimony is being written for someone you have not met yet. Someone who will find this video, someone who will hear your story, someone who will look at what you walked through and discover that they can walk through what they are facing. The suffering was not the end of your story. It was the first chapter of someone else's breakthrough. God was not being silent. God was being precise, not metaphorically, literally. The dream God gave him as a teenager, the dream that seemed to go silent for years while everything worked against it, came to pass exactly as I showed him it would, every element, every detail. And when it did, Joseph did not say, finally. He said, I see now, I see the whole map. I see how every moment, even the moments that felt like abandonment, was moving toward this exact place. As it is written, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Genesis 50:20. That is the revelation I am bringing you today. What was intended to harm you, every loss, every delay, every season that felt like it was working against everything I promised, I have been threading together into something that will not only restore your own life, it will carry something for others. Your suffering was never only about you. What I am building in you through this season carries an assignment that extends beyond your own story. The people whose lives will be touched by what you carry on the other side of this could not be reached any other way. Not by someone who walked an easy path, not by someone who never had to hold on by a thread in the dark. Only by someone who knows what this feels like, who can stand in front of another person in a pit and say, "I know this place, and I know what is on the other side of it." You have been faithful. You have prayed. You have believed. And yet the same ceiling, the same walls, the same feeling that everyone around you is moving forward while you stay exactly where you were last year. That is not a lack of faith. That is a spiritual blockage, and there is a specific path out of it. The 7 steps of the chosen walks you through exactly how to shield your life, unlock what has been held back, and defeat the enemy that has been standing between you and what God promised in 21 days. The link is pinned in the first comment. Comment, "I break through now," and begin. I want to return now to the place where this message began. You came here asking why. Why the suffering? Why the silence? Why the delay? Why you? And now I want to give you the answer, not the partial answer, not the comforting answer, but the full answer. Because I chose you for something that required this, not to punish you, not because you failed, but because the assignment on your life is large enough to require the kind of formation that only this path could produce. The suffering was not incidental to your calling. It was the curriculum of it. The silence was not God being absent from you. It was the deepest form of my presence, working in the hidden place, building what no surface-level season could have built. You were never behind. You were being formed, and this is what I need you to carry forward from today. The suffering is not the end of your story. It is not even the middle of it. It is the part of the story that will make the rest of it make sense. The part that future you will look back at and say, "That is where I became the person who could carry what I carry now." That is where the work was done. That is where God was most present, most precise, most intentional, even when it felt like he had gone silent. The silence you walked through was not God's absence. It was his most intimate instruction. I have never let you go, not once, not even in the silence. And now, my beloved, I want to speak something over you before this message closes. I want you to receive this as a word directly over your life. Not a general encouragement, but a specific declaration. What was taken from you will be restored. What was delayed in your life will find its moment. And when it arrives, it will arrive with the weight and significance of everything that was built in the waiting. The people who overlooked you will understand why I was keeping you. The situations that seem to be working against every promise I gave you will be revealed in time to have been the exact path that led to the fulfillment of those promises. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not too far from the life I designed for you. You have not been forgotten. You have been prepared, and what is coming will make the waiting make sense. This message did not find you by accident. Nothing about your life is an accident in my hands. My beloved, it is time. The turn you have been waiting for is not something you have to convince me to do. I have already written it. As it is written, "For the Lord will not forsake his people. He will not abandon his heritage." Psalm 94:14. I did not bring you this far to leave you here. Every step of your formation was moving toward the moment when what I built in you becomes visible to the world that could not see it while it was being built. You are chosen. You are not forgotten. And the suffering that asked you why, I have answered it today. The answer is this: because through you, I was building something that will outlast the pain, outlast the delay, outlast everything that was sent against it. And that thing, the glory being built in you, is worth far more than anything the suffering cost you. Now I want you to do something before this message ends. I want you to pick up the resources that will help you walk this out, because knowing the why is the beginning, not the destination. The turn of the chosen reveals exactly how God uses 7 days to reverse what was built against you and step your life into the fulfillment He already set in motion. The link is pinned in the first comment. And the 7 steps of the chosen walks you through 21 days of removing every blockage that has stood between you and what belongs to you. You were not meant to carry this without the right tools. You are chosen. And chosen people do not walk this path alone. The link is pinned in the first comment. Click, receive, open, and begin. Comment right now: "My purpose is being revealed." That is your declaration of faith. Subscribe to this channel, turn on the notification bell, and share this message with the person in your life who needs to hear it today. You may be the instrument God uses to reach the next person who is still waiting to be found. You may be the Joseph who takes the revelation from the prison to the person who is still asking why. Go in the full knowledge that I have never taken my eyes off of you, not once, not even in the darkest night you thought I did. You are mine, and what I start in my chosen ones, I complete.